In the face of climate change, cities face a variety of challenges, including sea level rise, flooding, heat, and drought. Funda Atun, Assistant Professor of Strategic Spatial Planning, has done extensive research on the resilience of cities to various disaster risks and the impacts of climate change. She sees cities as complex and coherent systems in which several interconnected factors influence the resilience of that city in terms of disaster risks and the adaptation to climate change. For example, land use, quality of the built-up environment, and the behavior patterns of people. Yes, people have a major influence on the resilience of cities. She's now working with disadvantaged groups to build resilient urban communities.
My first research project attempt that I remember was an excavation for finding dinosaur fossils. My first research project group consisted of children in the neighborhood. The excavation site was our garden, and funding agency was my parents. I remember the face of my mother and her eyes wide open with amusement when she saw around 10 children digging her garden with their toy shovels. She looked at me and asked, "Funda, my dear, what are you doing there?" And I answered with full confidence, "We are looking for dinosaur fossils." There was a moment of silence, as you can imagine. She entered home, and she came back with water and sandwiches. She supported our excavation by providing us with the catering. Although I was quite enthusiastic about paleontology when I was 5, it was not a surprise that I selected urban planning as my profession, because I was raised in a family of architects and civil engineers. I recall myself eagerly waiting for my father's return from work to continue to build our city model that was made of empty medicine boxes. When I look back, there is another milestone event that I remember. 1999 Izmit earthquake. It has a huge and everlasting impact on me. And we visited the site together with my father 2 months after the earthquake. And curtains flying out of the collapsed buildings are in my memory even now. Back home in Istanbul, we changed our house. We moved to another one that was reinforced by my father. I was 17. I moved for the first time in my life. And I remember a scene like I'm placing the books in the library and telling myself, I do not want to move ever again. This is so tiring. As if I didn't say it, I moved almost every year. First, I moved to another city to study. Then I moved to Italy to continue my education. And Italy was a place out of my box and a new culture in which I blended. Today, if someone orders a cappuccino after 11 a.m., I feel for Italians. And 3 years ago, I moved once again, this time to the Netherlands. And as you see, I never listened to 17-year-old Funda. And I also realized that I feel comfortable outside my comfort zone. When it comes to my research topic, all these mentioned milestones played a role intuitively. First, I started working on the vulnerability assessment of the built stock to earthquakes and disasters. But then I realized, no matter how good the assessment is, no matter how good the plan is, failures occur during disasters. And I started focusing on more socio-technical approach, and I extended my focus to understand the role of society in mitigating or increasing the risk. My experience proved that labeling people vulnerable because of their age or gender or ethnicity is wrong. There are various factors that make them resilient as well. For instance, children. There is an invisible force behind the curiosity of children. Children do not follow the traditional rules that govern our society, that govern our adults' world. This gives them the flexibility and ability to think out of the box. I work with children in Italy, in India, and in the Netherlands. And I also learned something. Their language is universal. They communicate to each other better than adults do. We co-designed books and games together with children, for children, to teach them what to do before, during, and after a disaster. And, for example, a giraffe might represent a ladder for a child. And when you are co-designing a game together with the same child, the child can suggest you to increase the price of the gadgets in the game after a flood event, because that's what's happening in reality. Children have capacities to adapt, to find innovative solutions, to protect themselves and their families. What I want to say is that children are not helpless victims of disasters, but they are the agents of change in the face of climate crisis. Thank you.